right, do we have all our speakers up front? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Arnold Cooper. I'm the chairman of the Squaxin tribe. At this time, I'd like to have the rest of my council that is here to come up here, please. This is a good celebration for, Billy Frank Jr. And his accomplishments. But we also had a tribal elder pass away yesterday, so I'd like to have the blessing done right off the bat, just so we can recognize and say prayers for the family of the Peters, great leaders of that family, and a lot of history from that family, and I'd like to have the drum group and up here and somebody come up and do the opening prayer for this, because I think it's really important. Peters family is a big part of our Medicine Creek Treaty tribe, so if we can get him to come up here and do a prayer. And maybe Vicki, could you come do a prayer for us, please? This is Vicki Kruger, one of our council members.
Since I'm an elder, I can pass that job off to my son, Jeremiah.
Just gonna sing a blessing song that comes from our Bagley family, that we have ties to the Peters family, so.
Thank you. Well, welcome to the dedication and blessing of the Billy Frank Jr. Park and Trail. This is a joint, a partnership between the Squaxin Island Tribe, the Frank family, Salmon Defense, and the Port of Olympia. So I've had the honor, or first I should introduce myself. I'm Jenny Folia-Jones. I'm the Communications, Marketing, and Outreach Manager for the Port of Olympia, and I'll be your MC today. So I've had the honor to work with the Squaxin Island Tribe and the Frank family to develop a project that will create a welcoming space for others to visit and hear the stories of the Squaxin Island Tribe and Billy Frank Jr. Today, the park that we are standing in will be officially named Billy Frank Jr. Park. And the trail that begins near the Hands-On Children's Museum and leads to this park will officially be named the Billy Frank Jr. Trail. So as most of you have seen in our media statements, beginning soon and over the next several months, we will begin to implement enhancements to the trail in the park. And these include interpretive signs that will celebrate the life and the environmental messages of Billy Frank Jr., as well as the history and cultural heritage of the Squaxin Island tribe. We'll also install signage to identify current native vegetation along the trail and other features to be determined as we move through the design process. I'd also like to note that we're holding this event on this day for a very special reason. Today is Billy Frank Jr.'s birthday, Billy Frank Jr. Day, which we will continue to celebrate for many years to come. So now I would like to welcome back up the Squaxin Island Tribal Chairman, Arnold Cooper, to speak.
Just one quick message. There's a lot of seats up here for the elders up here under the tent, so I'll be more than happy to come up here and sit down. I want to thank each and every one here today. I think this is a very historic and an important day for the tribes and Billy Frank Jr. and Willie Frank and everybody that's been involved with this. We had a great dinner and the event last night, and I raised up my hands up to each one that attended that as well. Billy Frank Jr. has done a lot for tribes and tribes all around the state. The importance of what his goals was is protecting the salmon and trying to bring the salmon back to where it used to be. And it wasn't just only just the salmon, it was like the environment, whether it be climate change and whether it be the air we breathe and the water that we have behind us, trying to keep it clean. The battles that he has fought for so many years, trying to get the state and federal and all the staff that work under the state and federals to understand the importance of what we have here. Mother Earth, if you don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of you. And I listened to Billy Frank for many years after I got on council because he was kind of like my idol, my mentor. I mean, he took me under his wings when I first got on council, when a lot of leaders, they have other things to do, but he took his time out and, took me under his wings, and he wasn't afraid to come up and grab me and give me the old big bear hug and big old handshake, and, he made me feel like I was important as well, because we're doing the same thing. We're fighting the same battle, and we're dealing with the same issues. So I don't think we can say enough for what Billy Frank has done and what his accomplishments were. And it would just be nice that someday that, all the time that we spend going to the federal and state government places to educate them and get them to understand the importance of taking care of the earth and the air and the water. I mean, our council and the Squally Council and all the other councils around, we go to these big meetings to try to educate and get into the heads of the state and the federals that, we're not just only doing it for the tribe, that we're doing it for everyone that's around us, everyone that's breathing and everyone that's living, whether human or animals or whatever. We're trying to protect that. So I think it's important that we all work together at some point. It's frustrating for me to go to a lot of these meetings and preach and talk to state, federal, and other places to educate them the importance. And sometimes it feels like it's a losing battle, but all we can do is just keep going forward and living up to what Billy has done for so many years, and just keep fighting and keep living his dream. And his dream is to bring our fish back and have clean air, clean water, and be able to live and survive the way we should for our generations to come. So I want to thank Willie and the staff for putting this together to honor Billy. I think it's, sometimes it's like maybe it's too small to honor somebody with great importance of what he's done, but we're going to get there. And the way we get there is we keep fighting the battles and the dreams that he's had. And I think events like this will hopefully open up some eyes and ears and whatever to help pass on the goals that we all have, and that's to help each other and our generations on down the road. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I want to thank each and every one for being here. so proud and happy to be a part of this celebration to honor Billy Frank Jr. And I just hope that when you leave here that you can pass on the message and the importance of what we're trying to do. So I want to say thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, Chairman Cooper. I'd now like to welcome up the Nisqually Indian Tribal Chairman, Farron McLeod.
Good morning. And what a great morning it is. You know, the Creator has blessed us with the sunshine. We've seen an eagle as we was coming down here today. And all that is Billy Frank Jr. still with us today for all his hard work that he did for us as Native Americans and for this world. As you turn around and look how beautiful this place is, this is what he fought so hard for. This is what he did all his life. You know, having grown up in Nisqually all my life, I had the pleasure of growing up with Willie since I was very young. He used to come to our house. My dad was a barber, and a lot of them would come to get haircuts every Sunday. And it was a pleasure watching Billy. It was a pleasure watching him turn into a leader, an advocate, a true warrior who was arrested so many times just fighting for who we are now. And now it's us as leaders to keep that fight going. We can't give up. And it goes on and on and on to protect these waters, protect these lands, protect this sun. Things are a little in dire straits now. Our fish are starting to dwindle. Our waters are not clean. Our climate change is real. It's not fake. It's real. We have to look at it that way. Slow down. Enjoy what we have. And that's what Billy Frank would wanted. But dedicated this park today, you know, is great. His name carries on everywhere. I've been allowed to dedications, you know, in his honor. This is another one. They have a homeless shelter right down there. We just opened up last year under Billy Frank Jr.'s name. And it's going to go on. Our old tribal center is named Billy Frank Jr. Center. We have a Billy Frank Jr. Boulevard, and it just goes on and on. And I'm very happy to be here with Squaxin today. We've been meeting, you know. We had a lot of meetings this year with Squaxin, very positive. We're working hard together. That's how all tribes should be. We all got to come together. When times get difficult, we got to form together. Not just the tribes, all of us, all of us. We all got to come together and protect this, what we got. And that's what it's going to take. But it's a great pleasure to be here. You know, as the Nisqually Indian tribe, I have some council. I wish they had come up here real quick. Council, can you come up real quick? I want to acknowledge them too. I want to see Brian here somewhere. Oh yeah, he's usually the last man coming. But he always makes it though. He always makes it. Getting old like the rest of us, but we're all right. But could you come up, just introduce yourself real quick? That'll be it for me.
Hi, I'm Sheila McLeod, Tribal Council Secretary.
After McLeod, council member.
Willie Frank, 7th Council.
Good morning, Brian McLeod, Tribal Council.
You know, I want to thank them all coming today for a very, very special dedication. You know, that's commitment and a great day. I'm very honored to be here. You know, and it's a great, great day. So I want to thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you, Chairman McLeod. I would now like to welcome the canoe families from both the Squaxin Island tribe and the Nisqually Indian tribe.
Good morning. It's always an honor to come up and share these songs. As a canoe family member, as one of the singers and the skippers of our canoe, you know, this is where I started here within this canoe family singing these songs. That's what the elders had taught us. Carry on this tradition and this culture of who we are. You know, there was a lot of fighting going on at that time, and these were stripped from us, these drums, these dances. And it took a long time to bring them back. Even longer time to bring our youth together and get this moving forward. You know, with the families we got up here with Squaxin and Nisqually, you know, hosting these journeys here and bringing that medicine here, that's what they wanted. That's what our uncles and aunties and grandmas and grandpas wanted. Make sure that these youth stand up here with pride. So we got these canoe families up here. We're going to share songs together. This first one we have, we call our Nisqually Anthem. It's an old song given back to us by an elder from Skokomish. Bruce Miller, Sobier, held on to this song for us and gave it back to us.
those of us from Squaxin who are here, just wanted to echo the statement of unity between our groups, because our people have behaved as relatives for many millennia. And it's just something that is part of our duty as Squaxin and Nisqually people. Back before we had casinos that created economic opportunities for our tribal members, our people visited each other for many generations. But back in the early days of our tribal councils, when people only met in houses and living rooms before we had any real infrastructure, our people considered ourselves as families between the tribes. And we try to do our best to continue that spirit. And speaking of the canoe journeys that we've had, the canoes land here in 2012 and 2016. We owe a lot to our Nisqually relatives, because our leadership in our cultural group traveled with them before we attained our first canoe in 2002. So for a long time we've been traveling together, paddling together, and singing together, and dancing together. So we want to do a Squaxin paddle song, which also comes from something that was re-gifted back to us by Sobier.
Oh
This next song we'd like to share is a song that, when we started hosting journeys and that preparation that goes into bringing the canoes to your territory with all that medicine, when you have these canoes travel down the waterway, and each time they put that paddle in the water, there's a prayer that goes in that water with that paddle. We had this story in our community for a long time. This story was recorded by Gene Sanders, who recorded this story from Grandpa Billy Frank Sr. And that story is about Taclopma, which means don't forget the water. We put that in there back in 2015, knowing that water is really important, of course, with especially what Uncle stood for. That water is our water source. It's our life source. So this song was composed with some of the canoe family here, and we had a gentleman from Lummi Nation come down and help us with it. His name was Anton George, so I'll let these young guys kick it in here.
The last song we wanted to do is our Eagle song from our Squaxin canoe family. And story goes that along the canoe journey up on the peninsula near John Wayne's Marina, that we had to move the canoes when the tide was a little late, and we had to to put our canoes up on a beach at a different location. And so a few of our people went out, and so they witnessed an eagle swoop down and catch a salmon. But the salmon was too big. It couldn't fly back out of the water, so it had to swim to shore. So that's where the song and the dance comes from. Isaac, Kurt. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Ole, oh, yeah, oh, hi, hey, hi, hey, ha, hey, ha, hey, hey, oh, oh. On behalf of our canoe families, we just want to thank, first of all, our leadership of our tribal councils who continue to honor the spirit of our ancestors and the spirit of Billy Frank Jr. And we also want to acknowledge and raise our hands to the port for this opportunity to come together like this and have the renaming of the trail and the park, which honors all of our ancestors as relatives, as I said, we've been for millennia. Thank you.
Great, thank you to the canoe families. So we have a number of elected officials here with us today, and I'm going to introduce each one, and they can tell you their thoughts on the day. So to start, Senator Patty Murray is not able to be with us, but here to say a few words on her behalf is her State Director, Sean Bills.
First, a very large thank you to the Squaxin and the Nisqually for welcoming us all here, and to the port for hosting this. I've had the pleasure of speaking at 3 events in honor of Billy Frank Jr. And on the drive down this morning, passing his refuge, I was on the phone with Senator Murray, and we were reminiscing and talking about how it was his birthday, and I asked her if there was anything she wanted me to share, and we could talk about all the federal funding battles that are going on right now over salmon funding and all the things that were near and dear to Billy's heart. But she said, no, just speak from the heart. That's what Billy would want. And so as I was thinking through this great place that is now going to bear his name, I also started to think through the people that he has touched, and a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, what we heard from of how it's frustrating to go to DC and advocate to staff. And Billy was just tremendous at it. He was amazing, and we have amazing people advocating in his legacy moving forward. But part of that legacy that Billy's leaving behind is people like me. I've worked for 15 years for Senator Murray, and I can say without a doubt the privilege of my career was getting to know, work with, and truly get some of the passion for this work from Billy Frank Jr. He left that in me, and he left that in hundreds of other congressional staff and senators and congressmen, and that's going to carry forward. And so I think all of us here today can just continue to reminisce in the fond memories of Billy, continue to push the work that he cared so much about, and that's the legacy that he is leaving behind for all of us. So thank you so much for letting me share a few words on behalf of Senator Murray.
Thank you, State Director Bills. So now I'd like to welcome up Congressman Denny Heck to say a few words.
Thank you, Jenny. Billy had a pretty deep love for this place, which was appropriate because this place had a pretty deep love for Billy. But beyond, frankly, the inspiration of the name for this incredible place is explaining the legacy, as Sean alluded to. A big part of the Tell Your Story Act, which was the one that renamed the wildlife refuge for Billy, was the story of Billy's tribal ancestors and the ancestors of so many people here. And that's why the story of the Medicine Creek Treaty will be displayed and taught at the refuge, as it should. And so for the legacy part represented here, I want to express my deepest appreciation to everyone involved. EJ, Joe, Bill, everyone at the port. Thank you so much. To the Squaxins, of course, to the Salmon Defense Fund, and of course, to the Frank family. Parks and trails like this are places for kids, and kids at heart, to connect with nature and what it is that matters to all of us. Billy did that, fishing literally at the riverbank as a kid in what is now the refuge named for him, and it shaped him. This space can serve as a place and a space for all of us, young and old, to reconnect with what it is that truly matters in life. And remembering what really matters in life is important because, like Billy, we're all going to be challenged. We're going to be distracted. We're going to be criticized, and we're going to want to give up at times when we fight on behalf of restoring full salmon runs or protecting our planet against climate change. We'll think of giving up. And in those moments, we need, frankly, to step away from our computer screens and look out at the beautiful backdrop of this which we call home. What a blessing it is, and how blessed we are to call it our home. And when we do that, when we look out at the Puget Sound or the Olympics, I pray that we think of Billy and remember his story and remember how he never backed down. The late, great United States Senator Daniel Inouye from Hawaii, I thought, said it pretty well about Billy, whom he called dear friend. Quote, "This simple native fisherman from the Pacific Northwest stirred the blood of all who heard him and left a lesson of love wherever he goes." Everything that Billy believed in, everything that Billy cared about, everything that we honor here today is represented by the Billy Frank Jr. Park and Trail. Everything. In Billy's words, "There will be the sun and the stars, the water and the tides and the floods, the owls and the hawks flying, the river running, the wind talking, and they will all be measurements. They tell us how healthy things are, how healthy we are, because we and they are the same." Happy birthday, my dear friend Billy Frank. I also finally want to acknowledge that on this day, my friend Congressman Kilmer and I have introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives a resolution to create a National Day of Remembrance on March 9th in honor of Billy Frank Jr. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your day.
Thank you, Congressman Heck. So now I would like to welcome State Senator Sam Hunt.
Oh, it's bright out here. And we've been living in the dark dome up there. Haven't seen the sun in about 90 days or 60 days. So it's great to be out here and share this wonderful event. So I consider myself especially lucky, not only to live here, but to have known Billy and to have known and worked with Sue Crystal when we were staff members on the Senate Appropriations Committee. So there's some good, strong ties here, and I can't think of anything more fitting than to have this location named after Billy Frank Jr. He would love it. He would be here. He'd be out there looking for the salmon or keeping the salmon going. And it's just a great, great event and a great place. And I want to thank you all for coming, and thank you for the wonderful music and everything. This is really a highlight day, and we're glad to be out here in the sun and sharing Billy Frank. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hunt. Now I'd like to welcome State Senator Kevin Rinker.
It is such an honor to be here. I was listening to the music and being absolutely empowered by the drums, and I looked over my shoulder and I saw way across the water there's a bunch of little kids playing on the beach. And that's really what this is about. Billy Frank was an absolute legend, not just for his people, not just for Indian country, but for this entire great nation, which is frankly why shortly after he passed, President Barack Obama gave him the single highest civilian honor that anybody can ever receive. I got to know Billy Frank when he and Bill Ruckelshaus kind of bamboozled me into taking over the chairmanship of the Puget Sound Recovery Council, and he said, "Oh, it's not a big deal. We've almost got it wrapped up. We just got to finish the ESA listing, and then we're going to get that off to the feds. It'll all be easy work. You got like 6 months." And 2.5 years later, I was still cursing them both. One of my greatest memories of Billy Frank, he came up to speak in the San Juan Islands at a really special event. And afterward, we had got him a float plane ride back down because he had another meeting down here, because just like any typical day in this great man's life, he was working and working and working to satisfy the passions that he believed in and make our communities better and the environment better and people's lives better. And so we get to the dock and we realize we're a bit early, and he says, well, what are we going to do? And I said, my boat's here. You want to go out on the water? And he said, yeah, let's go for a boat ride. So it was he and I and Terry Williams and another incredible individual, Kit Rawson, who passed away recently. And we go out on the boat, and I blew it again. I thought we had like an hour, and it turns out we had about 15 minutes. We just got out of Deer Harbor, and all of a sudden this float plane flies over, and Terry Williams says, isn't that our plane? And I said, oh, wow, I think it is. And so I said, you guys, I'm going to have to go a little quick here, so let's get in the cabin. And so we start going, and it's a little choppy. And Billy Frank just steps out of the cabin, he's flapping around, and he goes right up to the bow. He's like an 8-year-old kid, just up on the bow with the wind in his face, and he was laughing and just loving life and inspiring all of us on the boat. And pretty soon, Kit's up there with him, and Terry tried, but that was a little rough. That's what he was. That's what he left for me. He empowered me for a lifetime to love life, celebrate life, and make sure that everybody around me is better for it. He was a man who was absolutely driven by and motivated by kindness and love. And that's the lesson. It's saving the planet and saving everybody around us and embracing everybody around us and knowing that we need to give more hugs. We need to let people know that we love them and let people know that when we work together, we are invincible. Thank you very much for letting me be here.
Thank you, Senator Rakers. Now I'd like to introduce State Senator John McWhite.
Good morning. It's really great to be here to honor Billy Frank. And when I was asked a while back whether I could be here and speak, I said, well, it all depends on Sine Die. So we pulled it off. We finished last night, and so I was able to be here. And this morning I was also, there was a live feed that I picked up at the Tulare Elementary School. They were having an honoring of Billy Frank, and so that was nice to watch that. So all up and down the coast, folks are honoring Billy, as it should be. He did a lot of work for us, and we all have our stories about him. And when I first met Billy in the spring of '94, we had a function at Tulare, and he walks up to me. I knew who he was, but I really didn't know him. And he didn't say hello. He just looked me in the eye and he said, "Do you need a bail bondsman?" And I said, "No."
Not today.
So, and he said, "Well, if you do, give me a call." And I said, "Okay." And anyway, then there was another time. I was back in D.C. and I had a meeting at the National Press Club. Now, as politicians, we say if there's two people standing on the street corner, that's a crowd, and we got to talk to them. Well, I'm walking down the hall, and I look in the door, and I see Billy. And he's standing up at a podium, and he's giving a speech. And I look in the room, and there's not a soul in there. Just him and a TV camera. And I was thinking, well, that's taking it a bit far. Well, that night in my hotel room, I'm channel surfing, and I had hit C-SPAN, and I had to stop because there was Billy giving that speech that I watched him give in the afternoon. So he was actually talking to millions of people. So he knew how to do it, and we all could learn from him. In fact, he told us all of us elders need to be teaching our young. We need to pass the knowledge on. And so consequently, when tribal leaders have come to me and asked me to do things in education, I do it. And we have a bill on the way to the governor right now for the tribal compact schools that will allow them to do a pilot project of year-round school that they can, they have goals to meet, but the state won't tell the tribes how to get them there. It's up to them to get that there. And they can get credit for culture. So that's a big part of the bill. And we replaced the standard test for assessment test. We replace it with just as rigorous community and cultural based test. So I really look forward to being able to see the results of that, because I think we'll do well. So we have a lot of work to do. Our work is never done, and we just need to follow Billy's example and keep working, because we will get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator McCoy. So now I would like to welcome State Representative Lori Dolan.
It is so delightful to be here with all of you today. Just to reiterate what some of my friends have said, we've been sort of locked up over in that dome, and I was watching the weather the past couple of days with all the rain and wind, and I was hoping today would be nicer. So we are truly blessed to all be here together at this moment in space and time, honoring our dear friend Billy Frank. I've always been thankful. When I arrived in Olympia, it was 2005, and I came to be Governor Gregoire's policy director. And I'm so happy I got here in 2005 because it gave me a chance to get to know Billy and also work with him. It's a rare person who has such a lasting impact, not only on his own family and tribe, but on all the rest of us, not only here in Olympia, but across the United States. And to know that people are celebrating his birthday up and down the coast today just makes my heart warm. What I want to talk about, I mean, we've talked about what an inspiration Billy is, but I also want to mention that he was great at knowing how to advocate in government. And I'm going to actually ask our tribal leaders, I think we should make a goal to take Squaxin Island and Nisqually middle schoolers and high schoolers and turn them into pages at the state capitol. I think Billy would love it if we did that. So I'm just going to invite you right now to contact our offices, any of our offices. There's page applications online, and let's get some of these kids into government. I think that would honor Billy's memory more than anything else I can think of. I'm going to talk a minute about the end of the 2017 legislative session. You probably remember it. It took 3 special sessions, and in the middle of the night, our Democratic caucus in the House decided to walk out without passing a capital budget. And the reason we made that decision is because of the Hearst decision that came to us from the Supreme Court. And we were not convinced that we had the right water policy in place. So as much as we needed a capital budget, there was huge political pressure to pass the capital budget. There was huge damage that was done by not getting that capital budget in time. The truth is, as important as a capital budget is, nothing's more important than the right water policy, because nothing's more important than water and salmon, right? And that's why we're here today, is honoring Billy Frank. So that night, we as a caucus chose to take the heat of not passing the capital budget and to stand strong with the tribes and say we've got to get the water policy better. Billy would have liked that. He'd also like the work that's going on right now, the collaboration on trying to solve the I-5 corridor from Mounts Road down through Tumwater. The Nisqually Bridge is damaging the Nisqually River. It's endangering the salmon runs. We have got to do something about that. And again, we are working in a collaborative manner and between all of us, and Congressman Denny Heck's a big piece of that because it's like a relay race. He's taking care of it at the federal level. Many of us are trying to take care of it at the state level. We're working closely with the tribe and the Joint Base Lewis McCord folks and local government. And what we're trying to get is $5 million by next year's budget. This year we got the down payment. We got $550,000, which is just the starter money, but we hope to get the rest of it in the next year's budget so we can actually be ready next time there's a huge transportation package to actually solve what needs to be fixed within the Nisqually Bridge and help the salmon in the Nisqually River. So I appreciate that collaboration. And finally, I just want to say to the Squaxin Island and the Nisqually friends, thank you for including us in days like today. Billy shares your blood, but I need to tell you he shares our heart and our memories, and we deeply appreciate being part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Dolan. So for the Port of Olympia, it wasn't a matter of whether or not to do this project, but how best to do this project. So with the public process that we conducted with the Squaxin Island tribe, the Frank family, and the broader community, we came up with an approach that we think everyone's excited about. And so the Port of Olympia's full commission unanimously approved this project. And so the full commission recognizes the contributions that Billy Frank Jr. has made to our community, our region, and this country. So now I would like to welcome Port of Olympia Commission President E.J. Zita.
What a beautiful day. Thank you for all being here. Here we are, along the waters fished by native people for millennia, where the sun and the moon pull the tides in and out, and the salmon come and go. We're honored by your presence here today. We're honored by your gift of dancing and music. We're honored by your spirit for community. We welcome all members of all tribes here today. We're here to honor Billy Frank Jr., his struggles and triumphs, and his deep respect for the land and water and living creatures. Billy Frank Jr. was a warrior for tribal fishing rights, for environmental justice, for tribal sovereignty. We honor the Medicine Creek Treaty Tribes, especially the Nisqually tribe of Billy's family and the Squaxin Island tribe, from whom this land and water was stolen. We honor the land and water and the creatures living here and the spirits of creatures who once lived here. We come here together as neighbors and friends, local governments and sovereign nations together to preserve this trail and park in Billy Frank Jr.'s name. The Port of Olympia is honored to play a small role in celebrating Billy Frank Jr.'s life and in sharing this place with everyone. We're proud to partner with the Frank family and the Squaxin Island tribe, providing land and financial contributions for this project. We want to thank everyone who's worked so hard and so well on this project, starting with Olympia City Councilman Nathaniel Jones, our many tribal partners, and finally the hard work of Jenny Folia Jones. Let today be the start of our renewed commitment to restore this land and this water to health, so that as the seas rise, someday salmon may run here again in great numbers, and children may safely swim here again. I honor all of you who continue in Billy Frank Jr.'s spirit as warriors for tribal rights and environmental justice. We will continue to work together to restore to health our air and water and our earth. Together we work toward a better future for the grandchildren. Mini Wachoni.
Thank you, Commissioner Zita. I'd now like to welcome Robert Whitener, Squaxin tribal member and chairman of the Salmon Defense Board.
honored to be here today representing Salmon Defense. Salmon Defense has got a great board, esteemed leaders all through Indian country. Billy was the inaugural chair of that and was chair up until his death. We have Lorraine Loomis, Ron Allen, Glenn Gobin, Nancy Shippentauer, Sean Yannity, and others. Pagan will have to help me there. But that's an amazing board that works for the defense of salmon, so we're really proud to be in this partnership. I'd also like to recognize Pagan Frank, who is the executive director of Salmon Defense, who really does all the work. We know how the board cares about. And also Fran Mosusan from the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission and all of the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission staff, because Salmon Defense doesn't exist without the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission, of course, which Billy was a big part of. And I would say to the Port of Olympia, thank you so much for doing this. And I think this is a really appropriate place to do things with Billy Frank. And one of the stories I have with Billy is I was really young and was in Washington, D.C. with Billy and one of my uncles from my tribe, Herb Johns. And I was sitting in the park under the cherry trees, beautiful day like this, a lot warmer. And Billy and Herb were watching all the pretty women go by. And they called them Yurocks. But I was sitting over here, and of course I wasn't doing that, but I was looking at Billy and Herb, and I said to him, "Oh my God, you guys look alike." And Billy said, "Well, of course we do. We're first cousins." And I said, "You are?" And I learned the story. That Billy's mother was Evangeline, and she was Squaxin, and she lived right across here in Elk Inlet. And our families were intertwined, and I didn't know that. And I knew Billy from him coming to my house when I was a little boy, selling steelhead during the fishing wars, and trying to stay out of jail. And Billy did that. And Billy didn't just fight fishing wars. Billy fought other wars. He fought taxation wars and other things. And Billy was very instrumental in how he presented himself and what he did. And he was very tough. He was a warrior, and he challenged things. I remember getting stuck in the four-wheel drive van that Billy had to run cigarettes in a parking garage because he forgot how tall it was. And we'd have to get out and deflate the tires. And I remember when Billy would send me into the room, the little white boy first, to just see if there was anybody there that might be going to give him a subpoena. So that was Billy. Billy was just an amazing person, all around. And I'm really proud to see these two chairs sitting beside each other. Now, I think the Squallies and Squaxins got it together before this big event. So I think Billy's hands, I want to believe, reached down and was working with our two tribes. And I feel his presence, and I know that is something very good. Now, I will also say, I heard a lot today about Billy and love and kindness, and all of those things. And I'm hoping Willie, who speaks next, will talk about that part of Billy and how he treated his family and all of those things, because he really was a wonderful, wonderful man. But Billy was a tough guy, and if Billy was here today, he wouldn't be happy about the Hearst bill. He wouldn't be happy about the Culver case, right? I can't imagine what Billy would be saying about Trump and his environment. But I'll bet he has a nickname for him. And I think the last thing I think that Billy would say standing here would be, why in the hell is there still an effing dam right over there? That's what Billy would say. And I'll end this with sorry to Billy. I just wasn't able to say fuck it.
Thank you for that. So when I first approached the Squaxin Island Tribe and Billy Frank with the idea for this project, I didn't know what to expect or where this would go, but of course they have been nothing but wonderful to work with. So we quickly found an approach that would not only honor Billy Frank Jr. and the Squaxin Island Tribe, but enhance a wonderful community asset along the waterfront. So I have personally enjoyed learning more about Billy through this process. I've enjoyed hearing the stories that that many of you have shared about the impacts that he made on your lives, and I've enjoyed listening to Willie speak about his father. So I know that I still have much to learn, and I'm excited that this project is going to further educate me on the contributions made by an incredible human being. So I would now like to welcome Billy's son, Willie Frank, to speak.
Good morning, everyone. A great turnout today for this special event that we have going here today. And, you know, first, before I talk, you know, there's an elder sitting in the audience here trying to hide in the corner that I would like to recognize, and that's Nuji Couts. Nuji, could you please stand up real quick? Or wave your hand. Yeah, I see you over there. So, you know, the whole story behind this park is the history of this area, the Nisqually tribe, the Squaxin tribe, my father, and the fish wars that took place here. And Nuji went to jail many times fighting for our treaty rights and our sovereignty with my father. And, you know, I always tease Nuji because I want to always try to get him to come up and talk, but he never will. And I said, you know, you're the last one now, Nuji, but, you know, I'll continue to talk and continue to carry on the legacy that my father and many others started. You know, they paved the way for all of us here today, and we have our Nisqually Youth Council here today, and it was just formed a couple weeks ago. You know, so what we're doing now is carrying on for the next generation and teaching them and educating them. And when Jenny and I first spoke about the park idea, the whole purpose was getting it to be an educational tool to educate the people in Thurston County, the state of Washington, and whoever comes and visits Olympia, because that's what it needs to be. You know, we've been here from the beginning of time, our tribes have, and there's just not enough history out there educating people about the good things that our tribes bring to this area. And I know my dad would, the best thing about him was bringing everybody together. And I fully believe that he is here with us today bringing our two tribes together, the Squaxin Island tribe and the Nisqually tribe. You know, he was an enrolled Nisqually tribal member, but had a great working relationship with the Squaxin Island tribe. And I hope with this park that we can bring our two tribes together to work on this project and move forward for the betterment of this area and for the people of this area. And I thank all of our elected officials here today, and everybody who took the time out to enjoy March 9th and come down here and celebrate this. I'm going this afternoon to speak to one of the high schools who are doing some projects on my dad, and you know, so we're going to go and do that. But you know, everything that he's gotten, everything that's been named after him, all the awards, I feel like this is a very special one, because as many of you know, that there's a clip of him getting arrested right over on the bridge over there. And so this area has a lot of history and a lot of good times and bad times. You know, the canoe journey in 2016, Nisqually hosted. I thank Jenny and the port for that. We told Jenny we'll give her another 4 or 5 years to rest and recuperate before we bring something else down here again. You know, I feel like it's good medicine for all of us to be here today, and I thank everybody for being here. And this year's canoe journey will be in Puyallup, 2018. Puyallup will be hosting, so I thank everybody, and I can't wait to see the plans that we end up putting together in the final touches for this park. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy. So you heard from others today. Billy Frank Jr. was known as a tireless champion for treaty rights, tribal sovereignty, and salmon recovery. So this project will introduce adults and children that have never had the opportunity to hear all that he has done for all people. So thank you for joining us today in the Billy Frank Jr. Park. Woo!